it's easy to fall in love. And as you all know, to be in love can be very, very complex. But that complexity of human love, that capability of humans to love on the complex way, that physiological need to love somebody without condition probably was fundamental for the human survival. Unfortunately, scientists do not investigate love. Probably they don't see love as relevant or a serious topic to be investigated, but luckily philosophers do. And one of the greatest minds in human history, French philosopher Bergson, tried to understand the role of love in human evolution. And he thought that what he called the impetus of love was actually the driving force of human survival. And tonight, I will try to follow Bergson's idea, and I will try to argue that love really was necessary for humans to survive. But why one can argue that love was the driving force of human evolution? The fact, which I mentioned at the beginning, that it's easy to fall in love, becomes much more complex when it comes to birth. So, for many females, it's easy to find a partner, it's easy to even become pregnant, but when it comes to birth, things becomes much more complex. Why? Because birth is risky and difficult for both mother and baby from the beginning of our evolution until today. And in order to survive the birthing process and to raise the neonate, a lot of support, a lot of love in community is necessary for birthing survival. Importantly, what makes us, am I very loud? I have impression that the microphone, okay, sorry. Importantly, what makes us humans, bipedal walking, change the shape of our pelvis. Our pelvis become very narrow, and our large brain produce the large head. And the situation which we have on the right is actually the black is a head, and the small outline is the birth channel. So what makes us humans is actually provoked at the beginning of our evolution, those birthing difficulties, and we can be very sure that immediately when first human baby was born 2 million years ago, the birth was difficult. But humans survived. And not only survived, we even succeed to experience fertility increase already in prehistory. Between 10,000 and 5,000 BC, despite the difficulties, humans exploded. And this process, so-called Neolithic demographic transition, was fundamental for further development of civilization. And we still don't know why and how did that, let's say, miracle happened. In our ongoing birth project, which is supported by European Research Council and hosted by the Bioscience Institute at the University of Novi Sad. Thank you, Esna. We are investigating biological and cultural mechanisms which make this increase possible. And in our project, we are focused only on motherhood and babies, so mostly on female fertility, but I'm I don't know, am I allowed to say that, but I got from DLD one message of one of you who decided to attend to this conference, in which you wrote that you are mostly interested in male fertility. And then I thought, okay, we do not investigate male fertility, but if I join those two topics, male and female fertility, then I hope I will talk about love in human evolution. But how we can find the law of evidence in archaeological record? Well, depends what we consider the law is. Because on many archaeological sites, we can find representation of human sexuality. So sometimes we can find the direct representation of female or male genitals. And of course, this is evidence of the fact that sex also was important force in our evolution. But the question here, which is very important, and it's not only the question of the modern people, this is very old question and important for evolution. Did sex was equally important for males and for females? I don't know what are your thoughts about, but if I remind you that birthing was difficult from the beginning of the humankind, we maybe can speculate that sex was not priority for the females, at least not on that way like for the males. But if so, if from the very beginning of our evolution we had different priorities, because, as I said, love was necessary for female and newborn baby survival, the question is, can we find the evidences of those different priorities for males and females? In this moment, it's hard to say, and what I will present you is highly speculative and probably dangerous to say that. Probably I wouldn't be brave enough to talk in this direction on some scientific conference, but here I really feel free to talk in that direction because I really like idea of one Spanish psychologist, Enrique Burnand, who suggested that actually different approach to love and sex in humans is evident in our genitals. Why this idea is new, exciting, but also the logical? If we look, or if we think about female genitals, among the old primates, only in human females, the genitals are very hidden. And he suggests, and many other scientists, that this is consequence of natural selection, which led to, because sex was not priority, evolution eliminated the organs which are external and very visible. And that process maybe indicate the suggestion which I gave previously, but what do you think happened with male genitals? Okay. Sorry? Exactly. What happened, and we are witness of that situation in this very moment, that among the all primates, only human males develop very large and long genitals. This is not visible among the other primates. So you can draw your own conclusions about that and have your own thoughts. Your thoughts are happy thoughts from your applause. But I really think that that can be a good way to investigate the different approach to sex and love between two genders throughout the human evolution. But things were not complex only because of different priorities. There is another stuff which make everything much more messy. And this is something which is also characteristic for all mammals, and this is promiscuity. And I don't know why natural selection didn't delete this characteristic. Probably both male and female are responsible for that. But this is something which didn't disappear, and why that was another issue and another problem. The problem is if you have birthing difficulties, you need help to raise the small baby, you need a lot of love for survival, and at the same time, your male or you by yourself are also still with a lot of partners. And probably this situation was resolved by appearance of one specific kind of love, which is really unique among all species, and this is the maternal love, which is unconditional, which is actually the picture of those psychological need to devote your life to some other person without expecting anything. And this was the force which probably was crucial for the human survival. In our birth project, we are collecting those evidences of relationships between mothers and babies. And for example, you can see here the small baby and the arm of the mother around the baby's shoulder. And those representations are mostly connected to those, let's say, love as emotion, like romantic love. But what we had found are much more deeper and even more important evidences about community concern for newborn baby. What is the question which your mothers or our mothers ask us the most when we are small? Are you hungry? And what for the lunch? So don't be mad, because this is evolutionary stuff. So in order to survive, we have to provide the food for our baby. And what we had found with the beginning of the Neolithic are actually, sorry, but there is one slide behind this, but somehow it's not presented. Below this one, on the same, but nevertheless, I have here something what I want to show. It's good that I took it. This is the prehistoric spoon, masterly made from the animal bone, and thousands of those spoons appear through all Neolithic Europe, and my team had found the traces of milky teeth on those spoons, which is important indication that in many prehistoric villages, people really was very careful to provide not only the food, but also the nice tool to feed their babies. Of course, in this moment, probably we do not have enough evidence, enough scientific evidence to talk about role of love in human evolution, but I'm sure that very soon, and I cannot agree more, that this time is coming when we will, as humans, as scientists, will enter in those areas in which we do not enter because we are afraid, and I'm sure that we will soon have some scientific project about the role of love in human prehistory. But without any further evidences, I think that the mere fact that we are here tonight with another 7 billion people on this earth is quite good evidence that love was very important in human evolution, and that For sure, love was in the prehistoric era. Thank you so much.